Hey guys, it's Mr. TJ here, and I want to take a few minutes to talk to you today about goal setting. This is one of the things that martial arts is so good at teaching people. In fact, it's why we have the belt rank system to begin with. You see, originally, it was just white and black belt. There wasn't anything in between. So you might work for several years and never, ever, ever change belt ranks. And then one day your instructor walks in and hands you a black belt and says, congratulations, you're a black belt now, go teach a class, or something crazy like that. Well, now we break that up into ranks. A really cool guy by the name of Jigoro Kano came up with the idea of having colored belt ranks in between our white belt and our black belt. So now that we have these colored ranks, we kind of break our curriculum up and we say, okay, so now in order to get to this colored rank, you need to do these things. In order to get to this colored rank, you need to do these things. And that makes it a little bit easier by breaking things down into the steps. That's one of the most important ways to make big goals and to achieve them is simply to break them down. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. One of the most important things that you can do in goal setting is to write your goals down. They've done long-term studies of college students who wrote down their 5-year goals. Maybe they're 1 year, maybe they're 2 year, maybe they're 3-year goals as well. But their 5-year goals were the ones that were watched most closely. And they found out that the people who actually specified and wrote down their 5-year goals were much more likely, like orders of magnitude more likely to achieve their goals than those that just kind of spoke them, or maybe they didn't have any specific goals for 5 years. Those people earned more, they were more satisfied with their life, and they were setting new goals and continuing to progress in their life. All right, so if you're going to write your goals down, we need to think about what is a good goal. A good goal is a SMART goal. You notice that I've got that written here up on the board. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So if you are in martial arts and you want to make a SMART goal, a great way to start is with your belt ranks. Say it's your very first day of class, okay? And you want to achieve a black belt. That's a big goal. That's a long-term goal. In our system, it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 years to achieve that goal. So that's a long time of training. If all you're looking for is that one goal way down the road, you're gonna struggle, okay? So let's start with specific. A specific goal means this. I could say, I want to be stronger. Okay, stronger than what, right? Stronger than I am now, stronger than somebody else, stronger than my 3-year-old. You know, who am I stronger than? What am I stronger than? So I have to be specific. So maybe something like, okay, I want to be stronger than I am now. Well, that's a little bit more specific, but it's still not quite specific enough. The next part of this is that it's measurable, okay? Measurable. So let's go back to me getting stronger. What does that mean? Well, I have to first measure where I'm at. So I have to have some measure of strength. I could just say, oh, I feel stronger, but you know, maybe tomorrow I wake up with a crick in my neck and I don't feel as strong anymore. So I have to have some way to measure that. Well, in the fitness industry, it's really easy to measure that. You pick up a heavy weight. If you can pick up this much weight, you're this strong. If you can pick up more weight, you're stronger, okay? So the fitness industry gives us a lot of data, a lot of metrics for how we can measure our skill set. Sometimes with martial arts skills, it's a little bit more difficult, but again, that's why we have the belt ranking system. With a belt ranking system, you can measure what your skill level is by how much experience you have. So maybe you want to do a front kick really well, and your front kick right now is down at about your knee height because you don't have the muscle structure to do that. So you say, okay, so right now my front kick is at my knee level. By the time I reach yellow belt, I want my front kick to be at my waist level. That's measurable. That's something that you can measure from the outside. Somebody else can say, oh, I see that your front kicks are getting higher, and it's measurable. That's a great thing. All right, so moving on, attainable. Attainable means that your goal needs to make sense. For instance, if I decided that I wanted to be an astronaut, well, I'm 37 at the time of the filming of this video. Could I achieve that? Yeah, probably. Would it be difficult? Yes, definitely. Okay, especially with my educational background, I would really need to dig in and go back to school and do a lot of other things. But if I say I want to be an astronaut next week, that's pretty much impossible. Okay, so that's not attainable because of all the things that are part of that. So if you come in and you say, I want to be a black belt by next year, and you've never trained in martial arts before, the reality is that's not going to happen unless you go to a school where you can pay for a black belt, okay? In which case, do you really want that? Probably not. You really want to be the kind of person that can wear that black belt well. So, is it attainable? Does it make sense? The next thing we need to have is relevant. So, relevant means relevant to your life, relevant to your goals, to your mission and vision in life. For instance, if your mission and vision is to become a black belt, well, then your goal to reach a yellow belt is relevant to that. If you wanted to reach a black belt and you broke that down into different goals, and one of the steps of that was to learn the backstroke, well, that wouldn't really be relevant. It has no bearing on whether you become a black belt or not, because in martial arts, swimming is not a big thing, okay? Although there are martial arts that teach you how to fight underwater, that's not a required skill set, okay? So it's not relevant to your overall mission and vision, okay? So far we've got specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and here's the last one. This one's kind of a kicker for you, no pun intended. Time bound. Time bound means you're going to put a specific time frame on what you're doing. So I want to achieve a black belt by the time I am 45, okay? If you are 28, well, that's, depending on what art you're studying, you may need to shorten that time frame a little bit. If you are 47, it doesn't work, right? Because you're already past that. Again, we have to go to, is it attainable? But then also, is it time bound? So if I say, I want to achieve a black belt, that's great. But if I never put a time frame on that, if I never say by the time I am, whatever age, okay, I want to achieve a black belt in 4 years. See, that's time bound. That doesn't say a specific age for me, but it does give me a time frame, okay? So what that does is that means that I have to make sure that I'm continuing to train sufficiently to achieve that goal. If I don't put a time limit on it, then in 4 years, I'm like, well, I'm not a black belt yet. Okay. And so, I don't spend as much time maybe as I need to achieve that goal. And eventually my effort and my energy toward that goal tends to wane as I lose interest in something. Whereas if I have a time-based goal, then I know that, hey, there's a deadline approaching, and in order to achieve that, I'm going to have to work hard. One of the other things that people don't think about with goals is that it needs to be challenging. If it's too easy, we lose interest. Humans like puzzles. We like trying to solve something. We like trying to make something happen. We like building things. So it needs to have a little bit of a challenge for you. If you're already a yellow belt and you say, well, I want to be a yellow belt, there's no challenge there. Maybe you've already gotten a black belt in another martial art and you say, well, I want to be a yellow belt in this art. Well, that can be a step, but maybe your goal needs to be a little bit more significant because you already have experience that is relevant to what you're now studying, what you're now trying to achieve. Maybe being a yellow belt is part of your goal set for whatever your goal is in this particular art. In my instance, one of the things that I need to do is to get better at my takedowns, okay? So I need to be able to do a takedown in an MMA style sparring environment. That's a specific goal. I need to be able to do it before my 3rd degree black belt test. That's a specific time. That gives me a deadline to work toward, and it is a challenge because for me, that is a difficult thing. I do a lot of striking and I do a lot of stuff on the ground. The transition space in between there is where I struggle. So it is a challenge for me, but it's also achievable. All right, moving on. Let's talk about breaking it down. Guys, I know this video is getting long, but stick with me. This is going to be really important. If I say that I have a goal of becoming an astronaut, I need to understand what the steps are. So I need to break that down. I need to go back to school and I need to get a bachelor's degree in aeronautics. I then need to join the military, or I need to go get a master's degree in astrophysics. And then, so there's steps on the way, right? So I need to physically write those down. What are those steps for me to get from here to there? That's going to help you really think that out. And sometimes when you break down the steps, it actually changes these pieces up here, right? You need to maybe adjust your time a little bit. Maybe what you realize is that some of these goals aren't as relevant as they could be, so you need to adjust them a little bit. Some of these aren't measurable because you just say, well, I need to get a master's degree, but you don't give a specific time, so it's not measurable, okay? Or, I need to get a specific degree from a specific university that has a high rate of NASA hiring, right? So then that's measurable, right? So this breakdown helps you to specify your goal a little bit more effectively. All right, here's the next part. This is kind of the fun part, okay? This is a lot of work, a lot of thinking. Then we get into the benefits and rewards, okay? So I want to be an astronaut. What are the benefits and rewards of being an astronaut? I get to go to space. I get to tell everybody I'm an astronaut. Those are pretty big rewards in themselves, right? If you are maybe wanting to become a black belt, the idea of having that honor, that status of I am a black belt, but also knowing that you are the kind of person that can wear a black belt well, that changes who you are and that makes you into a better person. That is a big reward of achieving your black belt. On the flip side of this, slightly less fun, we need to write down some consequences. What if I don't achieve this goal? What happens if all of this stuff falls apart? Maybe I need to be able to cook dinner for my kids, right? That's my goal for the day. And I need to go grocery shopping to be able to do that. I need to do a couple of other things in order for that to happen. I've broken it down into steps. And I know that my kids will be happy if I make dinner for them. But if I don't make dinner for them, what are some consequences? Well, the kids are going to be grouchy. I'm going to be grouchy because they're grouchy. And nobody's going to get to eat. And it's just going to be a generally unhappy evening. So setting those consequences kind of keeps this all in perspective. If I never have to reach those consequences, it really helps me to stay focused on these things. That's great. That's called positive reinforcement, right? I stay focused on these things, but I also understand that there's a cost here, right? What are the consequences? So if you write all of this down, maybe in a little notebook or something that you carry with you, maybe in your phone, you write it all down and you refer to it regularly, you're going to be so much more likely to achieve the goals that you have, and you're going to be really, really successful in those goals. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't do this by yourself. You're going to need help, okay? One of the biggest things about goals is that they're difficult, and therefore you need help to do them. You need to ask people for help. You need to ask them to kind of go over this with you and say, hey, can you help me to specify this a little bit better? Can you help me to find the right steps for this? Find somebody who's been down the path that you want to tread, and that will really help you. And then find people who maybe are walking the same path currently, and they can be encouragement for you, and you can be encouragement for them. If you do all of those things, the percentage chance of you achieving this goal, short of some, act of God or major injury or something that stops you, the percentage chance is really high that you're going to achieve the goal. Try to use this in small ways every day. Try to use it on your big goals and just see if you don't see some progress. Remember, guys, keep training, keep growing. We'll see you guys in the next video.